What up, fellas? Baylike in the building. Welcome back to the second part of the truth behind LFG solo queue in Shadowlands PvP. We will just continue this second part. I couldn't finish it because my lady just came and interrupted my recording. I apologize for that. Woman, stop using the water now, please. Thank you. Okay, let's get the bread. Solo queue is toxic.
We don't need solo queue. It's perfect the way it is. You have to be determined and go through cancer to push rating. The game is already toxic. How do you weigh out what's toxic?
Exactly.
I would say waiting an hour in an LFG system just to get into a group for someone to call you bad and then leave after one game is a toxic experience.
Exactly.
It already exists. It's not like it's, what are we trying to mask here? The WoW community, I would say, isn't uniquely toxic compared to a lot of other games. Again, I think people are toxic, but what I will say is
Bro, people in WoW are the most toxic. Like, you can be playing, for example, your class for 15 years, you can be playing Paladin, and then at the end of the day, there will be people who will be calling you bad at playing Paladin. Like that's the reality. Like, Asmongold, in my opinion, knows a lot about the game. I don't agree with everything he says, but he knows a lot about the game, and I need to acknowledge that. But some people are just saying that he's a noob. Just because.
longer a game has been out for, the more knowledge you're supposed to have, the more people know about the game, the more experience. It's like that Kruger effect. Is it Dunn-Kruger effect? I'll have it somewhere on the screen, where people think they know everything about the game. I don't think it's the WoW player base. The reality is the game has been out for a long time. People are toxic in general. They think they know everything. And sometimes that can have an effect in excluding other players from even playing the game when you have a system where you can't queue up by yourself. Not saying that you would always queue up by yourself, but if you wanted to play, you're dependent on other people accepting you in your groups. People also make the claim that solo queue would be sloppy and bad. I don't know about you guys, okay? But I spend a good portion of my time reviewing gameplay and VODs. I do it a lot. And what I watch is already sloppy and bad. A lot of people don't know what they're doing wrong. They have no idea what the issues are. They don't have enough games played to kind of figure that out. I'm not really worried about my games in solo queue being sloppy and poor. I'm not worried about not being able to climb through the solo queue system because I know that I'll probably end up winning more than I lose. Yes, I'll lose some games because I might get a bad matchup or someone on my team isn't that experienced. Am I going to be upset about it? Not really, because I'll just queue up again. I'll just get another game.
Exactly.
You know, in Hearthstone, I love boomer games. Hearthstone, TFT, it's my favorite. If I take in those games, I know I can get it back because I can just keep queuing up. And wow, it feels so bad when you tank because it was so hard to get into a group to get to that rating that when you go down, it feels horrible because you don't know if you're gonna get the chance to do it again. Like, am I gonna get back up here again? Am I gonna...
You're always dependent on your teammates, and in solo queue it just doesn't. It's more RNG. So of course you have a chance that you will get a bad teammate and you will be going all over. But also there's always a chance that you might get a semi.
I'm gonna find a team that wants to play with me now because I'm 2K and not 2200 or 3K. This was the comment that a lot of people brought up. I know Zach watched my video, Asm watched my video, and I think he has the same take, which it's not a bad take, but I think people really should spend some time thinking about this concept because I don't think it's gonna go anyway soon. So let's just hop into it.
I think that most people that are complaining that solo queue would be bad for the game are actually people who are not really seriously playing PvP and are just seeing us as crybabies. But that's not the whole point. If you are not involved in PvP, if you spend hours in LFG, this might actually solve your issue. And I think the best way for WoW how to improve the PvP would be solo queue and also utilizing the LFG tool. LFG tool is highly, I would say, undeveloped for today's time and era. Freaking Tindra is having better system than World of Warcraft LFG tool, and it's pissing me off.
So a lot of people suggest that solo queue would, it's community destroying or it's going to remove all aspects of the game. The LFG tool is fine. The LFG tool is not fine. And that's why I recommended you guys to...
LFG tool sucks. You cannot even search for the spec. You need to just search I don't know, 2v2 arena, 3v2 arena. You don't know if they are looking for a healer, are they looking for a DPS, what are they looking for? If they don't write it specifically, maybe they will write it in the header, they will not write it in the description. It's so bad. It's so goddamn bad.
To watch my first video because there are actually fundamentally things wrong with the LFG tool. I can go through a couple really quickly. Number one, you can't do anything else while you are in the group finder.
Exactly.
That's why a lot of people don't like forming groups, because you can't do anything in the game. You can't do any instanced activities in the game. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. The game shouldn't be as instanced. A lot of the content is instanced in WoW. You can't do BGs, you can't do scrims, you can't do any arena, you can't do Torghast, you can't do any raids or Mythic Plus. But maybe you are interested in doing arena, RBGs, or any of that content. You can't be in a group in the group finder. You have to sit still and do absolutely nothing. What's even crazier is that the tool is really bad at finding other players. Let's say, for example, I'm looking at the LFG screen. I don't want to make a group because if I make a group, I'm locked out of all content in the game. So I'll just look at the screen. And then there's another person on the other side of the world that would be someone that I would pair up great with, is also looking at the same screen. We don't know each other exist. The only way I'll know that person exists is if he decides to give up his ability to essentially play the game and sit in that group tool. And when he's in that group tool, he also can't see if I joined another group. Maybe there's another group that he would mesh well with. It's the exact comp that he wants to play, but if he's in that tool, he can't see any other groups around him. You can't see it. The tool itself is very bad at finding. You should be able to do everything in the game and then have this thing running in the background if you want to keep the LFG tool. So the tool itself is very bad and should be updated. And it's not like the tool is amazing.
I like the idea of LFG tool, but you need more searchability so it's effective. It's really, really not effective, and it's really like prehistoric.
But on top of that, let's just talk about the social experience of the tool. So let's get to this comment because I think it's great. So you are telling me that taking all the social aspects out of the game by replacing it with an automated system instead of the organic way to make friends while playing the game, attracted a huge crowd of loners that are unhappy, etc., etc. Nowhere have I ever said that you should remove all social aspects of the game, right?
We want to only add a possibility to play by yourself. You have all these game modes, Mythic Plus, raids, heroic raids, mythic raids, normal raids. You have 2v2 arenas, 3v3, rated beach, everything you need a group. For every goddamn fucking thing you need a group. So why is it so bad? So now we will have one thing where you don't need a group, and it's the solo queue, where you can just come in and play. Why is it so goddamn hard to understand?
I feel like when we talk about solo queue, it's so hyperbolic. On both sides, is the LFG tool a social experience? Is it really that social when I see someone that's signed up and I whisper them CR/XP, I hover over their Raider IO, and then I decide whether I'm going to invite them or not? Is that the social experience we're trying to preserve? I can think back to all the times that I have made friends through the LFG tool. In Legion, I met this rogue through LFG. I hit him with the classic CR/XP. He matched up. I invited him to the group. There was no conversation had, and that's how a lot of groups go. I know this from firsthand experience. I'm not just generalizing this. The way you make friendships in WoW is by playing the game. When I was playing with him, after our first game, he did a really nice play on his rogue, and I'm like, hey man, would you like to play again sometime? That guy ended up being one of my good buddies for the expansion. We exchanged phone numbers. We were hitting each other. We were talking on Discord, chilling, just like, it was fun, right? But it wasn't the tool. That tool is just an automated system where you manually pick the person you're playing with, right? It's just people fly into the system, then you click. My roommate in college, I met essentially through League of Legends, a solo queue game. With WoW, it has way more potential because the person that you meet, you could then ask to do the boring chores that no one wants to do, but it's way more fun if you do it with a group of friends. Do you want to do 2s? Do you want to do 3s? Do you want to do RBGs? Do you want to do a Mythic Plus or a raid? There's so many things that you can do with the people that you meet through one aspect of the game that it has way more potential than League of Legends in terms of making friends. Why do we assume that you're not going to make friends through solo queue? Why do we assume that the LFG tool is this like sacred, social element of the game. It's horrible. There's nothing social about that. You just say yes or no. You don't even reply half the time. But with that being said, a lot of people do suggest that MMOs have become less social over the years and that this could be a step in the direction of becoming less and less social, which I don't think it would, but the reality is yes, World of Warcraft has become a much less social game than it was when I started playing 12 years ago.
If you want a social game, that much social, just go play Classic. Just go play Classic, go play Classic TBC. Those games are much more about the adventure, and I understand that. But here we just want to play. We just want to goddamn play. We just enjoy the mechanics. We enjoy the game. We love the game. But let us play the game, not wait in the LFG tool.
The reason is that being social isn't a selling point of video games nowadays. And then before you freak out, think about it. When I used to log into the game when I was 12 years old, World of Warcraft was how I communicated with my friends. It's how I connected with other people in the world. Now we're too connected. We're connected everywhere. I don't use WoW to hit up people. I use Discord. I use Twitter. There's Twitch chat, there's YouTube comments, there's Facebook. I mean, I don't know who goes on Facebook, but whatever. We're too connected to the point where people tell you, go outside and disconnect for a little bit. Being social isn't a selling point anymore. People don't like to be social when they play video games all the time. Sometimes I want to do things by myself. Sometimes it's my way to get away from everybody else. People are changing. Interests are changing. Human nature is changing. I'll leave it to Mark Rosewater.
So that brings us to lesson number 1. Fighting against human nature is a losing battle. So they say in game design you should know your audience. So our audience is human. And they come with a complex operating system. But while it's quirky, it is something that can be understood. There's an entire field of psychology trying to understand it. But as game designers, we have to be forewarned, humans can be a bit stubborn. So what I like to say to people is, don't change your players to match your game. Change your game to match your players.
Exactly.
Don't get yourself into a fight that you're probably not going to win. So lesson number 1, fighting against human nature is a losing battle. And there are things throughout time, the cell phone, there's things that get invented that change human behavior. But don't assume your game is going to be one of those things. And that.
By the way, so for those people who still claims that solo queue would be really bad for the game, I can just give you examples from TBC Small Forge server or from Warmain Blackrock PvP server, Votluk server, where solo queue was added, and everybody is spamming it. Everybody is playing it. Everybody is spamming it. If you have your teammates online, you can be playing with your friends, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop practicing because your friends are not online. You can be still practicing. The game is actually really complex if you think about it. So you need a lot of practice in order to become better, in order to become better player, in order to be more efficient than with your players, with your friends. But you need to be practicing somewhere, and solo queue would be the perfect opportunity for this practice. And that's what I think. Stopsy, very good video. I really like it. I will give you my like. First, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Write in the comments what video I'm supposed to check next one. And also, please, if you write a nice comment, I might put you in the next video. That would be pretty litty. Fellas, thank you. See you in the next one. Bye. La 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 la.